when the car flew into the fence. When it spun 180 degrees in one frame of the camera. The damage I did to my brain, actually, not messing around, I still have the effects to this day, 25 years on.
Really?
Dario Franchitti, one of the most popular race car drivers in the world, has been seriously injured after a crash at today's race.
Working with Gordon Murray on a 3-seater supercar.
The big man, he's one of my heroes.
And you have ordered a T50, haven't you?
I have ordered a T50.
You've got a Colin McRae edition Subaru up in Scotland at home.
I do.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. At one point, Colin and I were going to buy an island together.
What?
Johnny, we know we've got some chairs here. They're quite comfy.
They look all right.
But no.
But they're not these. Not these.
No, they're not. Like and subscribe, please. Maybe Johnny can buy some new chairs if you do. You twat.
This is the episode called Idle Chat, where I get my terrible brown chairs and I bring them to interview somebody of significance in the world of cars. The bloke sat next to me is not only just a really lovely bloke, but he's also multiple-time Indy Car champion and of Scottish descent. So basically, went from Scotland to America, conquered American open wheel racing. His name is Dario Franchitti, and we're going to do a full chat with him. And in another episode, we're going to look at the cars behind us in his garage. I'm Jonny Smith, you're watching The Late Break Show. The formal bit is over.
Fantastic.
Yeah, right. So, you got your cushion. And I know you've got an amazing pair of chairs there, but that's just not the point. I had to bring these because these are what I do on the Idle Chat.
They're strangely comfy. The fact that you pulled them out of a is that even a medium-sized EV?
Family, yeah. And assembled them.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah.
Okay, but they are quite comfy.
So let's get the hard accolades out the way.
Cool.
Well, I didn't know you were an MBE.
Yeah,
You
how
are?
about that?
That's amazing.
Yeah, motorbike engineer.
So 4-time IndyCar champion.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I kind of messed around for a while.
You messed around.
Like 1999, I joined Montoya and I finished the end of the season on level points. Then I had a huge accident at the start of 2000, and it honestly took me a few years to recover.
Right.
I mean, the damage I did to my brain, actually, not messing around, I still have the effects to this day, 25 years on.
Really?
Yeah, but then by about 2007, I got my shit together, basically.
It kind of clicked.
Yeah,
again.
And I got won, I think, the 4 championships were won in 4 consecutive years. 7, 8, I went and did NASCAR, and I came back 9, 10, and 11. So when I finally got my shit together, it went all right.
Your shit probably got together, didn't it?
Yeah.
So we met in 2008 when you were doing NASCAR.
Yeah.
And I was on TV doing a show called Fifth Gear, and we went over to Daytona.
Where I ran round at the back.
Yeah. But we had a really good chat on top of your race trailer, next to your Porsche Speedster that you turned up in.
Yeah, my little 964 Speedster. It was a cool little car.
It was a very cool car, and it was just a really way more relaxing chat than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be quite formal because a lot of racing drivers are not just serious, but they're short on time.
Yeah.
You go in, you do your thing, and you piss off.
But at that point, I wasn't short on time because I was so far at the back of the field that, Nobody wanted to talk to me.
It was fun though.
It was kind of embarrassing because I went from winning the Indy 500 and the championship in 2007,
Yeah.
going to this new thing in NASCAR. I'd never driven a bloody NASCAR.
Yeah.
I hadn't actually been to a race. I'd been to a practice session. Then I jumped in this thing and went, oh God. It was difficult. I was not very good at it. The cars I was driving weren't very fast. So it was a tough year.
How did you go from being based in the UK, Scotland, starting in the early 90s, was it?
Yeah, 91 was my first year.
And then suddenly going into US open wheel racing and getting really good at it?
I'd raced karts from 84 to, I think, 90 was, part of 90 was my last year. And then I went in 91 to drive Vauxhall Junior with David Leslie. And actually David's helmet's up here above us. And
got a great collection of lids.
Thank you. I love looking at those. Actually, almost more than the car.
Do you?
Yeah, more than the cars. So David Cuff, that was at dinner last night, he was my teammate. And during that year in 91, Dad remortgaged the house. Didn't tell Mum. Spent not every penny he had, a load of pennies he didn't have, to fund that. And at the end of the year, I won the championship. But my dad's like, yeah, well done, son, but no more. No, there's nothing. There's no more.
Yeah.
Luckily, Jackie Stewart had seen me racing at some of those events, because Paul Stewart Racing, the team he set up with his son, they had cars in the Formula above.
Yeah.
And I get this call saying, Jackie wants to meet you. So at the end of 91, I go to Milton Keynes to the Paul Stewart Racing Christmas party, sit next to Jackie in my C&A double-breasted suit. And you know, the end of the night, there was one particular bit in the night. It was a Christmas quiz. It was a question about Sterling Moss. And so he pulls out his Motorola flip phone and calls Sterling for the answer.
What?
Well, and I was like, yeah, we're in the big time now. But anyway, Jackie, at the end of that dinner, about a week later, said, listen, he phoned me. I was at home in Scotland, at Mum and Dad's house. And he said, look, you do what you do. You drive the car. I'll find the sponsors. I think we can do this. So I was there with them for 3 years.
Yeah. Moved
to Mercedes to drive DTM. 95, 96 I did DTM. And then through a lovely man called Paul Morgan, who was one of the partners at Ilmore, who made the Mercedes Indy Car engines. He'd asked me what I wanted to do. I said I wanted to go to America. And he made it all happen.
So basically your folks got you through karting, you proved your worth in karting, but without Jackie recognising your talent and going, I can take you and get you to where you want to go, you would have simply been, I say simply, you would have simply been a kart champion and then scrabbled around and maybe not.
I don't know what would have happened, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be sitting here.
Yeah.
There's these key people you meet in your life. I can't believe the chance my parents took. Yeah.
It's impressive.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure as a kid, but I look back and I think, my God. So, you know, the Jackie, or you know, the guys at Mercedes, the guys at Autosport magazine. There's just all these key people throughout.
Yeah.
My career. I don't like the career word because it wasn't a career. It wasn't a job. It was
a lifestyle choice.
It was a passion. Lifestyle choice.
It sort of is, though, isn't it?
I guess it is.
Athletes, any athlete who wants to reach a top level, it is a lifestyle choice, because you have to be completely single-mindedly focused. We chatted about this before the cameras were rolling, saying how when you were in your prime, in order to get the goal and be on podium or qualify consistently at the top, you have to just think about that.
Yeah. I was, at times, more often than not, maybe, I was a bit of a prick, just because I didn't care. I did not care about anything that was not about winning races and trying to. And I look back at some of the choices I made and some of the stuff I did in a car, and I go, what the hell was I thinking?
Really?
You know, what I was prepared to risk, what I was prepared to do. And yeah, it just seemed kind of normal. But you put your life into it.
Yeah.
And you watch somebody playing tennis and you watch them having like a temper tantrum on the court.
Yeah.
And you might think, oh, you absolute spoiled wanker. How, blah, blah. But you don't understand what they've gone through, what they've pushed themselves to do to get in that position. It's a massively privileged life. Don't get me wrong, it's bloody brilliant.
Yeah.
What I got to do, what the positions I was in, the rewards for it.
Yeah.
It was bloody brilliant. But my God, you
still got to deliver though.
you got to deliver, and you give everything, and anyway, it's
But the other thing I like about you is the fact that you've achieved some enormous things. I mean, like, forgive me if this is incorrect, 31 victories from 265 starts in US open wheel racing. And then, you started in Indy Car, the CART series.
Yeah. So Indy Car, basically, there was a whole naming issue, but it's Indy Car.
Right. You did 6 series in that, winning 10 races, and then you went into Indy in 2003.
Yeah, it was all the same thing, but it was different sanctioning bodies. Right. It was basically a bunch of political crap that was going on at the time. There was a bit of a civil war, yeah.
And you became the McLaren Autosport BRDC award winner in 1992.
I did, which was a big part of me getting to Mercedes.
Right.
Because the guys at Autosport, the publisher at Autosport, was a wonderful man called Peter Fubister. And him and a guy who was a great friend of mine, Andy Holbury, who's unfortunately, neither of them are here anymore. Mercedes phoned them up and said, "Oh, we're looking for some young drivers," and they put my name forward, myself and Oliver Gavin actually, and they to go, and that was why it was one of the reasons I got to go and drive for Mercedes, and which was another sort of link in the chain, step in the ladder, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So so you were based in Scotland, but you were obviously travelling around a lot with DTM and all the other stuff.
So I moved to Milton Keynes in end of 92.
Yeah.
I lived there 92, 93. And then when 92, 93, 94 actually, and then I moved home when I was doing DTM.
Right.
So I had some cracking runs from Stuttgart in my company C36 to get back to Scotland.
C36 AMG.
Yeah. Oh.
That's a pretty rare car now.
21 years old, that was my company car.
Bloody hell.
And it was de-restricted too.
Okay. Autobahn spec.
Autobahn spec. Yeah, oh my word.
That's
what
very
a
cool.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went through a couple of those over the 2 years.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What made you want to go to the States then? Was it the idea of, was it just like a sensible idea that your career's got more legs there, or?
So Mercedes were great to me. Norbert Haug was the boss there, and he was really good, but he was quite happy me doing sort of DTM. Then he wanted me to go and drive the CLK GTR and GT racing. I wanted to do F1. He was he had his F1 driver show at McLaren. So I thought the best way to look at doing that was to go to IndyCar for a bit, see how it went, and then try and divert that into an F1 deal, or a good F1 deal.
Yeah.
I got offered some F1 deals, but I was never happy with the deals, so I never did them. But I also thought if it doesn't work out, IndyCar's a bloody good place to be, and so that's how it ended up being.
And you ended up winning the Indianapolis 500 three
times. Yeah.
With 3 rings to show for it.
With 3 rings and 3 wee trophies.
3 bloody great trophies.
Yeah. I was really proud of that. That was I never expected to win one of those. It's just such a difficult thing to do. The odds are quite mad on that one.
Yeah.
So to do it.
You're one of quite
times.
few people to have done that.
Yeah, there's not many. I think there were. Is there 9 that have won it?
Yeah,
3 or more.
Yeah, I think it is, and not many foreigners, should we say?
No.
So, do you think? Do you find yourself? I mean, because obviously you're probably more famous in America, or certainly were when you were doing IndyCar, than over here. Mm-hmm. Are you all right with that? I mean, you lived in the States for years, I know, like 15 years or something.
There's a part of me that gets pissed off by it at times, because they were good achievements. They were
amazing achievements. That's why I'm just amazed that I'm sat here now, to be honest.
There was a certain bit of certain magazines, publications were really supportive. The the wider sort of press, whatever, weren't that interested. And to a degree, that pissed me off at times. But I also made a very conscious choice not to engage with the sort of the wider press.
Yeah.
So I can't really be pissed off. You know,
that's quite hard to do.
Yeah, because I was married. My first wife was an actress, and I was very conscious of our privacy. So I really did a conscious. The UK papers are generally not that nice.
No.
So I made a very conscious decision to not
just stay away.
No. So they didn't really cover the general press didn't cover Indy Car unless one of us got hurt or worse, and that used to piss me off.
So when I first met you, your ex-wife was there at the Daytona 500. But of course, talking of having accidents and people getting hurt, 2013 was you'd had crashes before, right? But 2013 was the year you had the big one.
Yeah. I'd had a few shunts over the years.
We can talk crashes if you like.
Oh my word. I mean, I had that big one in 2000, which did a lot of damage. I broke my pelvis, but the brain damage was
Was it the deceleration or the...
Deceleration, something over 100 Gs.
100?
Yeah, and the problem was, I've got the helmet at home. It's got a mark where the head surround, my head went forward of the head surround, and it hit, my head hit the wall, basically. So the fact I'm still here is kind of a bit surprising.
Yeah.
And then I had, some fairly big shunts. Didn't hurt myself, but I'd given myself another couple of concussions. So when the crash happened in 2013, I did, physically, I shortened this leg up a couple of inches. I broke my back. I'd broken my back on a motorbike in the early 2000s, but I broke my back again, my sternum. And
you've broken more than I realised.
There's a few.
Do you have repercussions from that?
Oh yeah.
You do?
Yeah. I could list it all, but anyway. But then the brain damaged again. When the car flew into the fence.
Yeah. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, it was when it spun 180 degrees in one frame of camera.
So really fast.
It's really fast. And the problem with that is my brain stayed still.
Yeah.
And the head spun, and so it did a bunch of damage. So basically, cut a long story short, at that point, it was the same doctors had treated me for all the shunts.
Right.
Because IndyCar had the same doctors, and they were really good. Terry Trammell, Steve Olvey, really cool guys. I was kind of like their Humpty Dumpty. They kept having to put back together again.
Dario Dumpty.
But they were like, right, if you do this, this, and this, we can get back in the car in 3 weeks. When I broke my pelvis, I was in the car again in 3 weeks.
Shit.
This time, it was a different vibe, shall we call it?
Yeah.
The bits I can remember, I lost 5 weeks of my memory in that shunt.
Goodness me.
But when I started to sort of come round, rather than being like, right, if we do this, this, and this, we can get you ready again, it was much more sedate pace, shall we say. And I went to Miami to see Steve Olvey and his associates there, and they just they did some scans on my brain, and they did some tests, and he came in the room and he just went, nah, you're done.
Really?
Yeah.
That must have been really difficult to hear.
Actually, at the time, no.
What, because you were...
I was alive.
Right.
And I was honestly still fucked up with all I didn't really know what was going on.
Yeah. And
I went home to Scotland, and then had to sort of make arrangements to do a retirement all this crap, all retirement interviews and all that stuff. But yeah.
But that's hard. I mean, knowing a couple of other ex-pro racers, that moment is a hard moment. I mean, obviously you cheated death, so that's a big thing.
Yeah.
But also the reality of you're not going in an Indy car again.
I was all right, honestly.
Were you?
Johnny, dead sister, I was fine, because again, I was alive.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, I'm just going to enjoy life.
Yeah.
And
So you turned a real page then?
yeah, and I was able to do it. And only later did I start to miss racing, driving Indy cars. I still don't really. I think because I think I couldn't do it to the level I did. I don't really think, oh, I should get an Indy car. But I love driving. I love racing old cars now, which 5 years after the accident, 6 years after, I managed to convince them that I should get to race old cars.
So that's what you did. You had a good gap of sort of R&R or whatever, and just start to enjoy life.
Yeah.
And then you go, I would like to race, but not
to that.
Not open wheel, those things.
Yeah, not to that level anymore.
Yeah.
Just not. Yeah.
Because I see you at Goodwood, obviously. It's great to watch. And you're clearly enjoying it.
I am.
I've actually never seen you not smiling. You're quite a smiler.
Crikey. That's unusual you say that, because if you look at any pictures of me competing, I've always had like the resting bitch face. It's like a real family thing. Honestly, massively. Look, massively miserable. And I'm like, I was having a good time there.
But you just...
Yeah. I couldn't sort of smile and think at the same time.
Oh, I can relate to that. So once you'd had the crash and you were happy that you weren't dead, did it feel a bit strange, like you could enjoy things that you hadn't enjoyed, and you could take stock of how impressive your career had been with all those wins and all those things? Is that when you came back? You came back from America to Scotland, so that was all over in the States. I'd lived in Nashville.
Yeah. I moved straight home to Scotland.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. All this stuff I didn't have the time or the focus to do, I got to do. I got to just hang out with my friends and just enjoy, just sort of not be focused on a racing car and and results and trying to achieve those and what do I need to do better. And I just went and had a good time.
Yeah, go home and see mum and dad.
Go home and see mum and dad. And that took a while, because up until about February, I was still a bit, and it honestly took a while to get, my brain was recovering at quite a rate, but those first months was really, it was pretty intense.
You must have had a lot of support from your brother, because I must give a shout out to Marino.
Yeah,
because Marino, you and Marino are almost inseparable.
Yeah, he did, man. He was mega. He was racing that day in Atlanta at Petit Le Mans, and he was listening to the race. That's the way he tells it. He was listening to the race on the radio. My race. He'd finished his race on the Saturday. My race was the Sunday. He was driving to the airport to fly back to London.
Yeah.
Holly, his wife, and him, they just had Luca, their son. He's driving down, listening to the radio. He hears this huge crash, and the people on the radio go nuts. And he basically was like, "Oh shit!" So he phones a travel agent. "Hey, can you book me a flight to Houston?"
Oh yeah, it was Texas, wasn't it? That race.
Houston. So
yeah,
he flew over. My mum and my sister jumped on the plane and flew over from Scotland. My ex-wife Ashley, who was my ex-wife by this point.
I was going to ask you, were you still married up?
No.
Right.
She jumped on the plane. She headed down. So I had a lot of support from.
Wow. And you're still friends with her?
Yeah,
right?
we're still pals. So
that's lovely.
It's cool, and Ellie, my wife, gets on well with Ashley, and so that was good. Anyway, so they all supported him. Marino was brilliant. He came up to Scotland. He stayed with me for a while. Mum and Dad had moved into the house. My cousin Michaeli would come, and all my friends gathered round and would sort of visit. Because there was a point I didn't want anybody round.
Was there?
Yeah, because I was in a pretty bad way, so I didn't want to speak to anybody or see anybody. And Scott Dixon, my teammate, he was just brilliant. He was one of the only people that I would allow. I say allow in.
You'd want to talk to, really.
I literally said to my mum, "I don't want nobody, don't." And he just came in and she's like, "Oh, here you go, Scott," and he'd bring me coffee. When I was living in the initial recovery, I was in Indianapolis.
Right.
And he'd come and he'd bring coffee and just sit and talk, as you would say, talk bobbins.
Talk absolute bobbins.
Yeah.
But that's sometimes what you need.
That's what you need. So there's a lot of people, and I'm missing some, but there were so many people were just, we got you.
That's great.
Yeah, it's cool.
It's really good. So you're, I mean, I need to ask you about your first car.
Yeah.
Because, you know, obviously we've got all these cars behind us in this amazing cave of yours, and you've got others up in Scotland. But what was your first car? Oh, no. You haven't got it. There's a lot of rummaging. You've got a model of it. Look at that.
It's a bit
Fiat,
dusty.
by Jove, Fiat Uno Turbo IE. In red.
In red.
So this was it.
This was it. That was my first car.
That's
And
bloody cool.
I think it was about $2,000. And did it on the old Never Never. Couldn't afford the payments, had to sell it.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
it basically eaten you out of house and home immediately.
Yeah. And it was brilliant. I loved it. What a great wee car.
Yeah. Would you have another?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. I think I'd be disappointed. I tried to find that one, but it'd gone.
Yeah.
It'd gone surprisingly.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, not a lot have survived.
No.
Bit of a unicorn of a hot hatch now.
Yeah.
It's probably a rarer car than a Carrera GT in the UK.
Oh yeah, in the UK, absolutely right.
Which is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've obviously got a huge fan base with Indy Car, and you've met some people, famous people, obsessed people. You've been in some situations where you've probably pinched yourself a few times. Mm-hmm. Are there any standout moments where you're like, I can't believe that I'm here and this is happening, or this is so odd I couldn't even describe this to somebody?
Ooh, crikey.
I mean, I had a weird moment with my podcast partner at the Le Mans 24 Hour where I messaged you and you said, let's meet up for a beer with your brother. And then we went for a beer around the side of your race truck, or a truck. It was yours, your camper van. And then Zach from McLaren came round the corner. You gave him a plate of meat to eat. And I was like,
He was hungry.
eating a plate of meat behind a camper van.
We all grew up together. This is the thing. All these people now who run the sport, or drivers of a certain vintage that won world championships, we all grew up together.
Yeah,
They've all got kind of similar stories, I would say.
yeah. Which is why you come across as being quite real with one another. Mm-hmm. You've always been, I have to say, you've always been really approachable to me.
Crikey.
Really, really laid back. You do message me a lot, I'm going to say that.
I do.
He messages
I'm
me.
a stalker. I stalk him.
He said that one of the last things you sent me was a picture of a Ford Granada on a low loader. Mark 1 GXL.
Automatic. Yes. Because of course I had to say automatic on the back.
You did used to say automatic on the back. And this stems from, and I don't want to do much promotion for my other business, which is a podcast, but you seem to listen to the podcast, the Smith and Sniff podcast. You and your brother.
Yeah. So when I do the commute to GMA,
Gordon Murray Automotive.
Gordon Murray Automotive. I listen to podcasts. So I spend a lot of time listening to you two strokes, and I just, it makes me laugh. And we're not saving lives, but we're making cars and doing all that. It's high pressure at times.
I was going to say, I haven't even talked about the GMA thing, but you're like, what are you, head of development driving, or?
I am director of product and brand,
right,
and performance. I think they tacked on performance recently.
Working with Gordon Murray on a three-seater supercar.
Well, two-seater too, with T33.
The T33 as well.
It's playtime. You've maybe worked out. I love cars. I love the automobile. I love any transportation device, motorbikes, planes, helicopters, you name it. But I love cars. I love everything about the world surrounding cars.
Yeah. You like your history, I know.
I love the history of it. I love the events. I love the people. Yeah, it's my passion. Even when I was racing and I was so focused on it, I still had an eye on all this madness.
Yeah.
And I used to reward myself winning races with cars. But so to find myself now, sitting talking about whether it's future projects or a problem we've got with one of the development of the T33, whatever it is. I'm sitting there with Gordon, and the team are amazing. The team at GMA are there's some really experienced people there. There's some young engineers, designers. There's a great mix, and they're a
passionate bunch.
They're a passionate, good group of people.
Yeah.
But the big man is he's one of my heroes.
Yeah. I've written down who are your heroes.
Oh.
And you're working with one of them must be amazing.
I'm working with one of them. You know, we sat the other day and we were going over sort of just a checklist of what's going on with 33, how are we getting on with 50, this thing, what's going on with 50S, future projects. And then we just start, I don't know, we get down these rabbit holes and we just start talking about other stuff. And
Italian mopeds or something.
Oh my God.
Gordon.
And it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Monterey about 3 years ago, I raced the Duckums that he built for Ducadny.
Yeah.
He's built his own one of those, and I raced it and we won. And Marino and I were sitting debriefing in the truck with him afterwards, and we left. And Marino turned and he looked at me and said, "What would we, as kids, would we have given to spend 5 minutes with that man? Never mind doing that." So
yeah. But then that's the same thing. There's you years ago driving a Fiat Uno Turbo that you can't really afford to own. Imagine if someone tapped you on the shoulder and went, "You're going to be an Indy Car champion."
Yeah.
You would have gone, "Am I?" Or would you have gone, "Maybe"?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I know that I used to go to the Autosport Awards, even as a young, driver. And the first time I went there was because I was in the final for the Young Driver of the Year. So you've got to a certain level already. But I'm like, one day I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
And then later on, when I'd go to it, I'd go out afterwards and we'd go to the after party, and on the way past the McLaren showroom where the F1 would sit in Park Lane, and I'd just be there going,
bloody hell.
Wow.
Yeah. It's cool.
It's cool. And then on the way home, very early, well, not so early the next morning, there was always an F40 parked on the street.
Was there?
Yeah.
Did you ever think, I'm going to get one of those? That was always the dream car for you, right?
Yeah, one day. That was the one day.
Yeah.
One day.
And that day came in?
May 99.
So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, May 99, that showed. I bought it in May 99. I didn't get to see it until July because I was so busy with all the stuff. I was living in America. I was racing, testing, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it got dropped off a truck at Glasgow Airport. My dad and I standing there, and he's like, "Oh, what's this?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Let's see, Dad." And it came off the truck. And he went, "Oh, I wonder whose that is." I was like, "It's mine." Yeah. And I think I said it yesterday. I think in equal parts, he was proud and probably horrified.
Yeah.
It's a recurring theme in my life.
Proud and horrified.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I didn't realise until like last night when I looked up, your first championship win in 07.
Yeah.
Was the year that we lost Colin McRae.
Yeah. Yeah.
A friend of yours, and you've lost a couple of friends.
Yeah.
Which makes it all, well, I've talked to racing drivers before where they say you don't think about the risks because you can't be successful when you're thinking of the risks. But I was going to ask you, obviously Colin was a friend of yours. You've lost, open wheel racing mates. It's pretty, harsh. And obviously you've cheated. You've had a near-death experience, in 2013. If you could rewind time, would you do anything differently? Obviously you can't stop what happened to those others, and Colin, it's mad, isn't it?
It's a heavy question. I mean, I think I'm just thinking with, first of all with Greg. Greg had injured his hand the day before he had his crash, and if I'd have said to him, you shouldn't race, he'd have been like, yeah, okay.
But he would have still done it.
He'd have still done it. You know, when Dan died in Las Vegas, Dan Weldon, I look at that and I think we should never have raced there. We should never have done it, and we should have been strong enough. And we knew we shouldn't be racing there. The nature of the track with our cars, the mixture of our track, our cars on that track, we shouldn't have been racing there, and we should have been strong enough to stand up and say we're not doing it, and we didn't. And yeah. And then with Colin, God, that was devastating. It was just, yeah.
I know, I can't believe it's that long ago, actually. 07. I thought it was,
Yeah. That was...
And you said he's driven that F40 behind you.
Yeah, Colin drove that.
And you've got a Colin McRae edition Subaru up in Scotland at home.
I do.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Colin, myself, Marino, Robert Reed, a bunch of the guys. We had a lot of fun over the years, on and off the track. At one point, Colin and I were going to buy an island together.
What? Where?
Yeah,
a Scottish island?
a Scottish island off the coast of Oban.
Oh my gosh.
We landed there and we plotted out. Well, your house could go there, my house could go there. We could put a motocross track in the middle. Yeah, we had some proper ideas. Mostly, yeah. The initial idea started with alcohol.
Okay.
Involved.
Such a massive surprise.
Yeah, like at one point we were going to learn to fly aeroplanes because both of us flew helicopters.
Yeah.
We're going to learn to fly aeroplanes and buy a P-51 Mustang.
Really? Like a syndication thing?
Yeah, him and I were going to buy it, and that was our big. Yeah, that was some of our more crazy.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
That would have been quite cool.
Yeah, he was mega.
You said he was. If he blew you away with his driving talent, that says something.
But he went to Le Mans in that 550 Pro Drive thing. Was right on the pace. He raced the touring car at Knock Hill, did the NASCAR thing at Rockingham. He was mighty. I think that was the weekend I won the Indy Car race at Rockingham. I think Colin was mighty in the NASCAR. He was just different. Yeah. Those rally boys. Those rally boys are different gravy.
They are, aren't they? My podcast partner Richard has sent a voicemail that I must play to you. It's a question.
Oh.
He's not singing or anything.
Thank God.
Let me... Where is it?
Let me entertain you.
Dario, hi, it's Richard Porter, Jonny's podcast partner from Smith and Sniff. Quick question for you. It's a dilemma, really, of a sort of theoretical kind. Would you want to have F1 World Champion added to your list of many impressive achievements, but the Faustian pact you must make to have it is that you must adopt your brother's hairstyle?
Yeah.
Hi Dario, it's Richard.
Okay, so...
Hi Dario, it's Richard.
Hang on.
Go away, Richard.
Stop it.
In a minute.
Yeah?
Oh, God, yeah.
So you'd go bald to be F1 champion.
In a heartbeat.
We should be able to Photoshop an image of what that might
just look at my
like.
brother. We're identical apart from the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's a good-looking little sod with his...
He wears it well.
He does wear it. The low downforce look.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, he does.
Less bathroom time. There's lots of...
Oh, I don't know about that.
No?
Oh, I've got to shave it. Hang on a minute. I'm going to go and...
Okay.
Yeah.
He's also said this...
Hi Dario, it's Richard Porter here, Jonny's podcasting partner from Smith and Sniff.
Very professional.
Quick question for you. Let's imagine for a moment that you've sparked controversy by blocking the one working lavatory at Scotch Corner Services. Which car would you use for a fast but crucially inconspicuous getaway from the waiting paparazzi?
So you
Twat.
you've blocked the one functioning toilet at Scotch Corner Services and you need to get away pronto, subtly.
I like Scotch Corner because of the coming over the 66 used to be quite good fun in the Fiat Uno Turbo.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fast, inconspicuous. I don't really do inconspicuous.
No. Although I remember you telling me that someone in your family might have a Lotus Carlton or did have.
my grandfather.
Really?
Yeah, my uncle still has it.
He's still got it?
He's still got it in the garage.
Shit off.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think maybe my E55 because it looks like a Frankfurt taxi.
Yeah, they are subtle, aren't they?
But it does.
Shift.
It genuinely does 200 miles an hour.
Does it?
Yeah.
So what year is the E55?
04?
Yeah.
On the auto, it was de-restricted and all that nonsense when it was new.
It would do 200.
It comes off the clock.
That's a great services getaway car from blocking a toilet.
Isn't it? Yeah.
There's your answer, Richard. I remember being at the Goodwood Ball and it was a fancy dress thing, which they're often themed, aren't they? And I remember being in the gents' toilets dressed as a Colombian drug lord. And you actually recognised me and came over and said hi, which shocked me because I didn't think I looked like me for a start.
Oh, that was the one when we were all... It was
Cuba. It was the Cuba Missile Crisis theme.
Yeah. Tom, I've got some really funny pictures, of like us all dressed as Colombian drug lords. Yes.
Listen, the weird thing was I just didn't think you'd remember me. I was really, really taken back.
I'm a fan.
You said hi, you didn't. You just said hi and had a little chat. But I was like, how did you even know I was Colombian drug lord?
The parties at Goodwood, the Goodwood balls.
Amazing.
Actually, just on a subject of that, after my last crash, the Duke called and said, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Come to Goodwood." I said, "I can't race." He said, "I don't care. You can come in demo cars. We'll look after you. You can do whatever you want." And for years, I wasn't allowed to race. Mm. And Ellie, myself, would get invited to every event, give me all these cool cars to drive.
That's so lovely, isn't it?
It was absolutely delightful.
Yeah.
We've had as a family, some of our funnest memories at Goodwood. So I've got a real soft spot for Goodwood, for the Duke and Duchess, because they have been really nice. It would have been easy just to go, we'll get somebody else. But the fun that we've had there.
Yeah, it is wonderful. Gordon Murray Automotive. So you work there, but is that like a full-time job or is it a part-time job? Do you actually go there like every day?
I'm going there when we're finished here.
Are you?
Yeah. It averages out, it's about 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Some of that is, I was at a customer event in the US last week at Canapa. This week, I'm in the office for 2 days, and then I'm at Goodwood with T50S, the track car. It just depends.
That's cool.
Yeah, tomorrow's a bunch of meetings in Shalford in the new place. We've also got, Windlesham, the new place. We've also got Shalford where the original offices are. That's where my actual office is. An office with like a desk.
A real office?
Yeah.
Is that the first time you've had a desk?
Yeah. Yeah. I've always had like this type of office with all my crap in it, but that's the first time I've actually had a real
job desk.
A real job desk, yeah. So
that's pretty cool. Do you bring test mules home and?
Occasionally I do. Occasionally I'll bring T50 home. PS4. It was supposed to be here, but I had to go. PS4s are sort of a golden press car.
Yeah.
But I had to go to Goodwood. Sorry.
Bugger.
Yeah. So.
And you have ordered a T50, haven't you?
I have ordered a T50.
So you're developing it with Gordon Murray Automotive, and did you know all along that you were like, I'm going to try and order one of them?
So at the start, it started off with me doing the launch with Gordon.
Yeah.
Of T50 during COVID, so it was all a bit weird. And he said, "Do you want one?" I said, "I'd love one, but it's a lot of money."
Yeah.
He said, "Yep." He said, "But you." And I was like, "I can't." I honestly, I just bought this place. I bought a Daytona Spider in the same week. It was
an expensive week.
It was expensive times, and I just thought it's mega, but
yeah.
So I didn't do it, and we went to do we did the launch, and within 2 days they all sold.
Oh, sugar!
And I'm like, I was all right actually at that point. I was okay still, and then I drove it for the first time, and the first time I drove it, it was limited to 6,000 RPM. because they were still working. It was very early days in it.
Yeah.
And I got home, I went to bed, and I couldn't sleep. And I just kept imagining driving it across like some Scottish moorland road. And so I wrote Gordon this long email about why I should have one and what I would do with it and all this stuff. And about a week later, I went back for the second sort of phase of testing with it. And he stood there and he put his arm around me and went, "Don't worry, we kept your prototype back."
Really?
I was like, yes. Yeah.
So you've spec'd that car, or are you going to spec it?
It is, yeah, the general spec is done now. We're still sort of looking, just tweaking the colour. It's such a wonderful car. I've also, if my wife was watching this, Ellie, switch off and now, I've ordered a T33 Spider.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You got the pair.
What a car.
It's my favourite looking.
You get in
that Spider.
I tell you what it feels like. It's like a modern take on a Ferrari Dino that's not got all bloated and big. It's beautiful. Same footprint as your Boxster.
Is it that small?
It's that small.
Really? Okay. I've seen it, but I didn't realise it was that small.
But it's got that V12 in it.
Oh gosh.
And
My Boxster doesn't have that.
It weighs 1,100 kilos.
Oh.
And it's just, I love it. So that's a cool wee car. And it's got the same kind of roof idea as a Carrera GT. 3 pieces instead of 2.
Yeah.
But you just put it in the boot, but it also is a hardtop.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that one too.
It's weirdly practical. They both are.
Yeah, and we're
in that Gordon Murray way.
In that Gordon Murray way. We're mid-development with 33, and we're nearly finished 50S, the track car. Yeah, so it's busy. It's busy there, and of course, part of the company's already focused forward on the final iteration of 33. There's all kinds of things going on. So, yeah, it doesn't get boring. Put it that way.
No, it doesn't get boring. I'm going to finish this by saying guilty pleasures. I mean, ones that we can talk about, obviously.
Oh, we're talking about cars?
Yeah, mostly automotive, but they don't have to be. You might have another hobby or a little pastime that you enjoy. I know we've talked about it when we were filming your walk round of the garage. You like cleaning cars. There's a little bit of therapy to that.
I'm a bit of a nerd.
Yeah.
I love the details and the minutiae of anything, really.
You've got Lego. Do you build the Lego?
I love Lego. My girls love Lego.
So you actually enjoy the build?
I do.
Do you?
You know, I did, when we were still living in Scotland, I did an F40. I put it in the garage next to the big one. A bit of a twat thing, but anyway. I would start building it, and this is a bit about being mindset change. In the old days, I'd have kept building it, and I'd have got kind of pissed off if something wasn't going in or whatever. What I did was I said, right, I'm going to build this, and as soon as I'm not enjoying it for a second, or I'll get frustrated with something, I'll stop and I'll come back to it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you were sort of retraining your racer's brain.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Rather than just, I will finish this today. Yeah. I guess one of my guilty pleasures is probably not very dynamically competent cars.
Right.
Which infuriates Gordon.
The G-Wagon.
The G-Wagon. He hates the G-Wagon. I did try and tell him it was a big Suzuki Jimny.
Yeah. Not having it.
Wasn't buying it. The Rolls Royce shooting brake, he described as strangely cool.
Yeah.
But then what do they call it when then he's basically it's strangely cool. Certainly better than that other thing you've got parked outside.
Yeah.
Was one thing.
Maybe a Granada on a low loader. That you were, I could see you I bet someone in your family's had a granny over the years.
Oh, granddad. It's got to be somebody had a granddad.
Yeah.
2. I used to love when they had like the 2.8 IX, blah, blah, blah. And it took up half the boot.
It did.
And they had those little sun visor flips on them, little wind deflectors on the sunroof.
That's right. That was tobacco tinted sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the chat. It's been really lovely. And for letting me come here. We've talked about doing this for a while. You're a busy man. You also wanted to finish building this place.
There was that.
That was important. But it's been wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you.
There will be a video coming out soon, or it might already be out. Check the description for a link where we walk around Dario's cars each by each, and talking about the cars he's had in the past as well in more detail. So have a look at that. And if you haven't already subscribed to the Late Break Show, you're a fool. You really ought to. And you'll see there's a whole playlist of me taking these appalling brown chairs that are actually surprisingly comfortable to other people of interest in our automotive world.